It is said in many ancient teachings that every 5,125 years, the earth goes through a great metamorphosis, a change from one age into the next. And these changes are often accompanied by tremendous changes in the structure of the earth itself. And interestingly, one sees these in the geological structure, where you take deep ice bores in Antarctic, which has been stable for a very, very long time. One sees great changes every 5,125 years. And that's where we are right now. Sometimes these changes are generated through fire, sometimes ice. This time, however, the change is generated by ether. Now, what is ether? In the classical sense, ether is consciousness, that whom you are. So here we're talking about a revolution, a metamorphosis in human consciousness. Well, not just human consciousness, planetary consciousness. You can see these in the way in which many different species on this planet have begun to cooperate in ways which they previously never did. Well, not in the last 5,125 years anyway. And what's happening now is we're just on the cusp of the ages. The age of materialism, the age of materialism, the age of the patriarchy, is over. And now we're moving inexorably into the age of community. And those who had the power in the age of materialism are trying to do everything they can to retain the power. And one of the techniques which they're using quite frequently at the moment is so-called terrorist attacks. And you don't have to dig very deep to see that at least a very large proportion of them are organized by government agencies. And one other tactic which they are trying very assiduously at the moment is to remove the people who are leaders, because they have themselves this concept of a pyramidal structure where there are bosses and those who take orders. That's the old system. It's not the age of community. In the age of community, everyone is boss. That is, instead of there being the powerful elite and the weak serfs, for want of a better word, but that's the way they treat you. Everybody works in complete self-responsibility and self-power, which stems out of total self-responsibility. And so their attempts to remove those who they perceive as being the bosses, those who give the orders, actually has no effect, because everybody is boss. Those that they perceive as bosses are just the people who say, hey, let's try this. And the people who say, yeah, that's a good idea, I'll join that. They are the bosses. They've just taken a suggestion and started running with it. You know, they're team players. And what the old elite are trying to do so that they can retain their exploitation system is to push humanity into violent reaction. And they do this because they perceive, quite correctly, that brings humanity into the lowest possible level of consciousness. And they believe that if they can attain this, then they will maintain their exploitation system. It won't work, but it can be that if we let them do it for a short time, there will be a period of violence. What we're going to do with the transmission which follows here is to intensify the natural movement towards greater community consciousness and thereby pull everyone away from this planned violence. So we just let them fall over their own feet. If you want to intensify it, you're welcome to. Use this transmission as often as you can. If you want to intensify it, then do get hold of the Goddess Transmissions DVD, which will bring you and everybody around you much further forward at a very high rate of knots. For the first time, this transmission wouldn't work very well if I did it alone. So the natural compatriot, I've pulled a woman in to help me, who has also quite a lot of experience with this sort of work. And this is her first time giving a transmission, and I hope she's going to enjoy it. So, thanks for listening, and the transmission is the next video on this page. Thank you.